The regular meeting for Romulus Planning Commission for Monday, December 15th, 2025, now come to order. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Item 2, roll call.
Roll call, just a second. Sorry. There we are. Okay. Roll call, Mr. Glodfelty,
Here.
Mr. McAnally,
Here.
Mr. Long,
Here.
Ms. Roscoe,
Here.
Ms. Jemison,
Here.
Mr. Crover? Excused, okay. Mr. Bobade is here. And
Mr. Green
Mr. Green? Here.
and Ms. Freitag is excused. Next item is the approval of the minutes that was held on Monday, November 17th, 2025.
So called.
Oh, I'm sorry. Approval of the agenda for tonight's meeting.
So called.
Motion by Ms. Jemison, supported by Mr. Long. Roll call. Ms. Jemison,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Glotfelty,
Yes.
Mr. Boboade,
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
I vote yes, motion is carried. Now, next item is approval of the minutes from the meeting held on November 17th, 2025.
So called. Support.
Motion by Ms. Jamison, supported by Ms. Roscoe. Any discussion on this? Roll call, Ms. Jamison,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Mr. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Glotfelty,
Abstain?
Mr. Boboade,
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
I vote yes, motion carried. Next is public comments. You said this is public comments from anybody in the audience on items that are not on our agenda tonight. Seeing no one, carry on. Next, item 6 is public hearings. First one is RZ 2025-003, Merriman School, Romulus Self-Storage, 15303 Merriman Road. Is the applicant going to come first, or do you have? Okay. Very good. If you could give us your name and address for the record, please.
Hello, everyone. My name is Brian Canona, 3780 Milano Court, Rochester Hills, Michigan. I'm with 15303 Merriman Road, LLC.
Jeff Gappy, 162 Clubhouse Circle, Walled Lake, Michigan, 48390.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone, for, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everyone, for attending, commissioners, staff. So we're here to present to you Merriman School, Romulus Self-Storage, located at 15303 Merriman Road. So we just want to say that the purpose for tonight's meeting is we're pretty much going to give you a project overview, okay? We're going to respond to the CWA and OHM's review in their comments. We're going to clarify some key items identified in their reports and provide to you why postponement really isn't necessary tonight, and that we're going to support our recommendation request for approval for tonight's meeting and our application. So just to give you a brief update, right now what we're requesting is a conditional rezone for 13 acres at parcel A, which is what it's going to be labeled. We're going to be repurposing a vacant Merriman Elementary School. I'm sure you guys are well aware of. It's been there for a very long time. That hasn't shut down, I'd say, almost 14 years ago is what I was told. We're looking to convert it into indoor climate-controlled self-storage, low-intensity flex business spaces, drive-up units on the property, as well as recreational vehicle storage and moving van rental. So a little bit of a site data right now, if we can look at the screen and really get acquainted on the property. It's about 26 acres. The white is highlighted on the 13 acres. As you can see, the school is roughly almost 50,000 square feet. There's existing lots. Right behind it, you'll see the remaining 12 acres, and that right now, on about 9 to 10 acres is a public park. It's actually a dog park that's on the far right. The entire property is highlighted in red, and as you can see that this little budding out towards the south end is an easement where it previously was an access road into the dog park. So I'm going to present to you our plans. This is phase 1 right here. We have a total of 3 phases. Phase 1 is going to be essentially taking the building as is, okay, and converting it into self-storage in the flex spaces. It's a very unique building. It's got classrooms all around on the outside, and it's got a large parking lot right up front, and then there's some pavement in the back of it. As you can see, what we want to do initially is utilize the parking lot for RV storage in the front, parking for the storage units, and also some of the flex spaces is actually right in front of that. And then in the back, we would utilize the pavements that are there and provide a temporary gravel access to allow some of the RV parkings to go through, park there, and then make a U-turn and around. You could see that the first entrance there is actually going to be an exit. You would enter at the most south end of the property, and then work your way in there and around and exit towards the north end entrance. So some of you guys may have seen that if we go back here, there's 2 lots to this. One is a separate lot. Essentially, it makes up the whole 26 acres, but the school, the first square there's 2 red squares, if you see that. There's about 4 to 5 acres in one little slot right there at the north end, and just below that is another lot, both owned by Romulus School District, which is the seller. And if you can see there, that line that draws right at the north end there separates the lots.
Want to go over what's going to go in this lot?
Yeah, the park?
Yeah.
Okay, so from our understanding,
Go back one more.
so that's the dog park. Yep, explain. Here we go next. So right here is phase 2 and 3. You can see the phase line right there. Is there a laser to this? Maybe?
There is a laser.
It goes on that screen there.
Oh, that's great. So the north end of the property, you can see that we're going to be developing drive-up self-storage units. And then in phase 3 would be right behind the school building would be more drive-up storage units. Essentially what we're doing is we're phasing out the RV parking. So it would be non-existent really towards phase 2 and 3. As you can see, there's a little bit of parking right next to phase 3. That's going to be where the planned moving rental van is going to be parked. And this is going to be gated all the way around, gated access to the front, as well as into the back storage units and where the moving van rental is. So as you can see beside me, this is a little bit of a rendering that we put together for the daytime. We've got a nighttime rendering there. It'd be very similar, give or take the colors. So as you can see, it's going to be very lighted. And on this image right here, the plan is to have a drive-through for the storage unit tenants to be able to drive in, park their car there, unload, and be able to exit through the back end and make a U-turn back around. So we want to give you the fiscal benefits for the city. We're going to be reinvesting this into this building. It's going to cost around $3.5 to $4.5 million. All of this is going to be financed through an SBA loan. Now, the goal is to be able to provide all of this reinvestment into the building, which is essentially going to increase the local tax revenue by $200,000 a year, which directly is going to be $67,000 for the city operating. It's going to increase the one-time permit fees by $75,000 to $150,000. As you can see, there's a lot of buildings there that are going to require, the process of going through the permit approvals and applications. There's going to be ongoing local spending from the vendors to the different services that we're going to be requesting over there, which is going to equal about $100,000 a year. And then also the goal is to be able to donate parcel B, as you saw in the back. That's going to be donated to the city of Romulus, which we were provided that it's going to cost $504,000 to about $756,000 donation to the city in value. So the community and economic benefits are pretty clear. It's going to take a long vacant building that's been sitting there. The school's been trying to sell it for a very long time. They've been having rough issues, mainly due to the zoning there. The last applicant, I don't think they were actually an applicant. They never really moved forward with this, but they were trying to come in there and it just didn't work out. But prior to that, there was really no interest in the building. I've talked to Ben, which is the superintendent of the school district. They're really, really pushing the sale of this property. I know that the school district really needs the funds for their students. So it's going to be able to provide not only the Romulus School District the funds that they need, but also it's going to provide really a building into a productive use. It's going to improve the corridor in that area. As you can tell, that across the street is M1 Industrial. Where we are, it is residential in that on our side, but the plan is to be able to develop the M1 Industrial there. So it's going to improve the corridor appearance, the curb appeal, and essentially the neighborhood perception of that area.
With increasing the tax base, creating more jobs, obviously providing the lighting we should mention, 24-hour surveillance. I think it'd be a good fit for the city. I actually had experience on 4 or 5 other projects, which I've done the same thing, and working on a school in Muskegon, doing the same project, very similar.
So as we said before, it's adding about 12.6 acres to as new public parkland, since the parcel B in the back is going to be donated to the city, and they're going to have complete ownership to do what they want. I know that there is interest in residential back there, so you guys have the opportunity to bid it out for residential or expand the park area there. So to touch base on some of the supportive findings from CWA and OHM. So CWA had mentioned that we're not spot zoning here because of the M1 zoning across the street. So the adjacent subdivision, which is all the way where the 12.6 acres are, there's going to be a significant amount of buffering there that it's just not going to be impacted. It essentially, so some of the proposed uses are limited. We do have a conditional zoning agreement in place that we had presented. So we're limiting ourselves to really only the uses that we presented. They're all low intensity, low traffic generating, and we're excluding any heavy industrial operations there, even moderate to heavy. There's going to be really nothing going on in that area. Self-storage really doesn't generate much traffic. The only traffic that is going to be generated is really if the flex space contractors or the tenants that would be there. And again, most of those tenants are not gonna be having any retail or customers come into there, and those would be based on appointments, and it's very slim, minimal. So we know that CWA concluded that the proposed conditions improve the compatibility and protect the surrounding neighborhoods. And also OHM had mentioned that there was really no objections from their end to the conditional rezoning once some of their comments were addressed. And we'll get to that. So one of the things that they had talked about was the easement there. If you remember where the park, the old entrance that went into the park, that was essentially that was part of the lease that was made 1970s. We have the lease. It's there. It's an easement that's been there between the city of Romulus and the school district. It serves the dog park. You can see it in the B, page 2 of the lease agreement, which we presented. And also, we're pretty much proposing to clarify all that. Obviously, the lease has to be addressed, and what we're doing is we're taking a 60-foot access corridor there to be able to allow for a public road there for the city to use in the case that they want to be able to access the 12.6 acres from Merriman Road. I know it would be something that would steer residential developers in if they had access through Merriman Road. I know that Oak Brook Park subdivision is a little bit condensed through that way, so it just gives you guys the ability to be able to have another access there. So some of the discussions that were made, or comments that were made were the flex business suites, uses, and their impacts on there. Really, and I provided you guys an updated Exhibit D, which took our previous Exhibit D and really revised it and made it a little bit more detailed, which I appreciate, because it did need a little bit more detail, which we do provide. On there, as you can see, that there's, let's see right here. You could tell that there's a lot of details that restrict the tenants from providing any sort of outdoor storage or any overnight parking. Some of these contractors will have, obviously, let's just say a landscaper, right, has some lawnmowers. Those lawnmowers, it was some of the lease spaces would have a garage entrance into the lease space within the building. And also we would require them, if they are unable to fit those in there, they would have to lease a storage unit right nearby their unit, the leased unit, which then essentially you'd be able to pull it out of there and drive off. So nothing would be stored there outside. You won't really see anything from the street. It would be all buffered. And we would ensure that we would provide strict regulation against that.
Another suggestion I had is to do screen fencing as well. We can also do that.
So it's a gated access and also keypad access, which is going to restrict anyone from coming in there after 10 o'clock. It would be from 6 to 10, the operating hours, and we would have a manager there from 9 to about 4 o'clock, 4 or 5 o'clock.
If I may, a lot of these things that you're talking and discussing would be laid out on a site plan when we get a site plan. So it's
Absolutely.
like, that would be a better way to, instead of going piece by piece, because
totally
we don't
agree.
have all this stuff that you're talking about. You gave a response to administration tonight, right? A packet of response?
I did.
We don't have that. They haven't reviewed it, the attorney hasn't reviewed it, so this kind of verbal descriptions of stuff that will be covered on the site plan doesn't seem, I feel like, I want the overview of what you're doing and what you're planning, I have no issue with it. But I don't want to get too bogged down into the things that we'll be covering with documentation later.
Sure.
Because we do have a public hearing, and we want to let the public speak if they're here tonight.
Yeah, not a problem. So was there anything that you wanted to know specifically?
No, it's just, I don't want to take something verbally when we know we're going to get it documentationally. And I know that we have documents that you submitted tonight that need to be reviewed,
Sure.
and we haven't seen those. So there, you know, I just don't want to get too mired
No,
into it.
absolutely. Just and I'll move forward, because I totally agree with you, that is a lot of it procedural and really done in the background. So what we're proposing really is a lot of the documents that we provided really meet a lot of what their requests are from OHM and CWA? Yep. And what we're asking for is recommendation for approval for a conditional rezoning to city council.
Okay, thank you. At this point, this is a public hearing, and I'd like to say that there's an affidavit on file of first-class mail, and if there's anybody in the audience that wishes to speak on this, please come up to the podium, give us your name and address, and give us your comments. Okay, we have somebody.
Hello,
Hello?
my name is Dawn Karkowski. I reside at 16247 Merriman Road. This whole block between Eureka and Pennsylvania is a residential area. Even though the west side of the street was zoned M1, that was only done because there was a party that wanted to put a horse barn there. So the residents all had to agree to allow the other side of the road to become M1. For the most part, it is still all residential. But I feel that this is a slippery slope if you start zoning off parcels of the opposite side of the street as M1. Because ultimately, they're saying that this will be low impact and not a lot of industry. Who's to say that they don't sell that property in a few years and now it's zoned M1 and then the residents who live there are stuck with whatever comes in there next? Because that is exactly what happened to the opposite side of the road. Right now, we have a few that are they're still residences, they're still privately owned. But the problem is they are running businesses out of there, and so my neighbors, some of them have been there longer than my family back in the 80s. And they are looking across the street out their windows at junkyards and storage facilities. I think this is a very slippery slope that needs to be properly considered all the way around.
Thank you. To planner?
There we go. Good evening, Commissioners. Happy holidays. If we have more comments, I kind of wanted to, the resident made a very good comment, and just to discuss what's being proposed tonight is what the world of planning will call sometimes contractual zoning or conditional zoning. And so just a real brief overview of that, because of the comments made by the resident, is that a property owner, a potential property owner, can petition a community to rezone a piece of property for a specific use. What that does, for a long time, the zoning enabling legislation didn't allow that, and that opened the door, or we'll use a slippery slope term, for other potential uses. If the property owner were to go out of business, or if the property owner were to sell the property, or whatever the case may be, any of those uses in the M1 or M2 district could be permitted. So the state changed the law, the zoning law, to say, okay, folks, if you want to propose a specific use on a piece of property, that's going to give the municipality, the planning commission, and then ultimately the council a final decision and a much more, most of the time, comfortable decision. So basically what you're looking at, commissioners, and for the residents who are here, is that the only use that can go on this site, if it is rezoned, is the mini storage and the ancillary uses attached to it.
It's tied to the business, am I correct?
It's directly tied to the business, and so if the business were to go out of business, or if the property owner wanted to do something more intensive, they couldn't. They would have to go through a process, or they would have to go back, it would revert back to the residential zoning if it were to close up. And so I think that's an important concept, is that, because I'm supportive of the use on here, but certainly the number of uses that could be in the industrial district wouldn't fit here. This is more of a low-intensity use for this frontage on Merriman, whereas a lot of the uses in the industrial district just wouldn't fit. So I just wanted to kind of clarify that process, and as you know, you're a recommending body. Once you're comfortable with the conditional rezoning and the kind of the overall concept, you would make a recommendation up to city council.
Is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak on this? Seeing no one, I'll close that part of the,
Chairman.
oh, we got somebody in the back?
My name is Imtiaz. I am neighbor to that property. My address is 15295 Merriman. The property was high school. I have kids. I cannot have a storage next to my house. It's a zone for residential. It's always been there. Like she said, if you guys change it to M2 and later on this is gonna be storage vans, parking space, all that thing is not gonna be suitable to the residential area. And they was talking about they're gonna donate some land to the city. Did they have any survey done on that? Maybe that's a wetland, city cannot do anything on the land either.
What direction do you live from the property?
Right next door, first house from the Merriman.
Okay, so you're directly north of the property?
Yes.
Thank you. Anybody else wish to speak? Yes, sir.
My name is Gerald Christiana. I'm a property owner, one house south of this site. In regards to the sewer line to that school, that was a temporary sewer line put back in the 70s or so with no public people that live on Merriman Road to be able to use. Instead, people are spending $30,000 for septic tanks, and that temporary sewer line to the school was for the school use only. And nobody wants to talk about that. And another thing, the traffic on that road to get to the storage lot should be offering blacktop or something, because the road's already a mess with just homeowners traveling and landowners traveling on Merriman in the winter and the spring. So we should consider how we can tie that into this to make it beneficial for the people that are property owners and live in the area to have better road conditions. Because if we're gonna have more traffic, we're gonna have more potholes and more, terrible roads in the spring and in the fall. Thank you.
Thank you.
That's a good point.
Is there anybody else? All right, I'll close that portion out and open it up to the commissioners. Mr. Long?
Yes, through the chair.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for coming in and presenting your petition tonight for your storage unit. But one question I have in regards to the property, is this conditioned upon you having this rezoning approval?
Yeah, yes, it's conditional rezone approval.
So have you purchased the property?
We have not. We are under contract with the school district right now, and we're nearing the end of the contract right now.
So if you're granted this here rezoning request, the conditions from which the resident expressed their concerns, how would you address those issues if they were brought forth when you go to council, if we approve it here?
So from what I heard, it would change the surrounding area was one of the concerns, as this is all residential. I know that the individual that said he lives just north of this, so it's gonna be gated access. Right now, we would actually provide a gate right past to prevent anyone from, crossing over into his property. It would be gated from up front. Anyone to cross in, we would have security, 24-hour surveillance. One of the discussions we had was partnering up with the Romulus School District and their robotic team to be able to compose a robot there that would AI generate drive-through to be able to assess the area through surveillance to see if there's anything going on. That was one of the discussions we had, lighting.
And to address their concerns about traffic, like I said, I have a couple storage facilities myself, and we probably see, if we're lucky, 2 to 3 customers a day. And we have roughly 300 units at one of the locations that we have. Other one's got 400. So we're looking at max 4 or 5 people per day.
Yeah, so as far as, we're not really going to be changing the look of the institutional building. It's going to stay the same. The building is essentially going to be unchanged as far as what it presents as, other than what the storage buildings would be up front. Might I remind, there is M1 across the street, so eventually the plan for that corridor to improve and develop for M1, I know it is a dirt road. That is definitely something we understand there. It's something that we've discussed diligently, had multiple conversations with our lender to be able to see what our options are. Again, the traffic is lower than really what the school generates, those buses coming in there and all of the parents and the teachers. We're bringing it down to about 200 vehicles less, 200 to 300 vehicles less, so it's not going to break up the road as more than what it would be already, whether the school was there or not. So also, that road is planned for a Class A improvement in the master plan. So I would assume if the M1 develops really nicely, that the city would definitely want that road through public funding to be able to develop it themselves. So for something, as far as the road goes, like I said, we talked to our lender, and because it's an SBA loan, there's no way that they're going to be able to fund reconstruction off-site. So that's something that we definitely do acknowledge.
As far as the neighbor that's concerned about his children, the property will be completely gated, so unless they're climbing the fence.
I would hope that when the site plan comes, there'll be buffering between any residential property. I don't want headlights going into somebody's homes or any kind of visibility if we can avoid it.
And absolutely, I think buffering was very important to us when we first discussed this. I'm just gonna go back up here. If you look at this, in the back, you see the natural buffering there already. There's no way that anyone is gonna be able to see the self-storage. If they do, if you look at all the way in the back of parcel B, which is where the city park is, the city dog park is, where the residential homes are back there, there's already natural life planting back there. And we're providing in the back about, I think it's 75 feet, a buffer, as well as the natural buffers there. And I considered the neighbor to the north as well. And I even told our city civil engineer, I said, hey, you know what, let's stay as far away as we can there. So we also provided the 75-foot buffer there as well. And we're gonna have, in the site plan, it's gonna explain a lot of detail on where the trees go. I'm sure we're gonna be able to put.
Well, I'd like to see screening, just prevent them from having to deal with.
And we're okay with that, absolutely.
And
Did I
also
answer your
through the
question?
chair.
Mr. Long?
Was that?
And also through the chair, when you stated on your petition that about warehousing, that it would be some warehousing there, because if you rent to a client that is storing things there, that would be considered warehousing.
So we would actually restrict any warehousing that is there, and that's part of our Exhibit D conditional rezoning agreement. There's gonna be, our tenants for flex space are mainly gonna be contractors and on there it'll go into detail and it provides the specific tenants we're only allowing there. We would restrict any warehousing that would happen there. If there is anything, and that's related to operations, but
Right,
if
yeah.
there is anything that they do want to store, it's going to be in a storage unit. So it would, there's not going to be deliveries in regards to semi-trucks coming in there. We're restricting any sort of deliveries to the weight limit to Merriman Road. So, I mean, more than an Amazon truck weight would be the max.
Yeah, that was my point there, because if I have a small business and I'm getting stock delivered to the facility, that's what I was getting to right there, that point, that the delivery will be coming there, so. But that's operational, like you said.
Yeah.
Thank you. No other questions?
Anybody else? Okay. My only comment is this, you've made a very nice presentation, you did a good job, but you presented a lot of information that just went to the administration tonight, that needs to be reviewed. It needs to be vetted by different departments, including legal. The conditional rezoning agreement will have to be updated. My opinion, I feel like we need to postpone this for the next meeting. Yes, Ms. Jamison.
Yeah, I do have one question. I think, Carol, is that a Tifa district or no?
It is. The other side of the road is.
The other side?
The
Okay.
west side of Merriman Road is.
Okay.
So in terms of some improvements, half the road.
Okay, thank you.
Is there any other comments and a motion?
So, in response to that, Commissioner, and I respect your comment as far as, recommending postponement, but a lot of the things are very procedural and can be handled really administratively. To postpone this, right now, again, we are under a contract with the school district, which is nearing the end, and we've kind of mentioned it. Yeah, and we did have to pull two extensions already on it. We've been going we've had multiple discussions and sat down with the city in regards to the conditional zoning agreement and the planning here. We've had 2 previous meetings. The mayor was involved, and also kind of the community developer. This is a conditional rezoning request. It's a land use request. A lot of the fine details as far as, the conditional zoning agreement really can be handled administratively. So that is our request as well as, recommendation for approval is if we would get a request to approve here, that a lot of the things would also be a request to approve administratively with the lawyer, the city lawyer, as well as the planning director.
I've been up here 24 years, and I can't remember where we've ever had a conditional rezoning that isn't complete, that isn't finished, that doesn't have a site plan tied to it, and then we just, we'll just go ahead and approve it. I'll leave this up to this panel. They can make their motion. Mr. Gladwell.
Mr. Chairman, I enjoyed your presentation, but I can't vote on something I can't see. I'm just not comfortable with it. I'd be much more comfortable by postponing it. I'd like to see it in front of me next time.
I understand.
Thank you.
Through the chair, I
Yes,
have
sir.
a couple of questions for you guys. A resident brought up the proposed parcel that you want to donate, asking if maybe a survey has been done, if it's wetland. Is that something you guys have looked into? I mean, if you don't have an answer, that's fine.
Yep, there's survey, we have just completed a survey. I don't know, and I'm going to bring up Chris here because civil engineer, he'll answer that.
Yeah, I would just like the resident's question to be answered.
Good evening, Chris Chinkovich, 2183 Plus Drive, Brighton, Michigan. We are working through the survey process right now, doing topographic survey, boundary surveys for the property. There have been no wetlands identified on the property at this time, and we're still working our way through it, but I don't anticipate to find any within that particular area.
Okay, so survey is ongoing. Okay, the other question that I had, you'd mentioned a drive up within the storage. So is it a drive-through? Is it a drive-up? And if it's a drive-through, how many cars? I mean, look, I've never heard of a drive-through within a storage facility.
Pretty much for the people that load and unload their products are not getting rained on or snowed on, or they're away from the elements, from nature.
So how many cars can?
2 cars, 2 to 3 cars.
Just 2?
Yeah.
Okay. And then my last question is, you'd mentioned in your plan here, RV storage. Am I reading that
Correct.
correctly?
Temporary.
Which is mainly in phase 1.
Okay, so you plan to offer RV storage and then to phase that out?
Phase that out eventually, yes.
Okay, and then you also said moving van rental office? So you have vans on site parked, and it would be like a U-Haul type facility where people can come and rent vans?
It would be, it's an ancillary use that's related to self-storage, so it's not gonna be a primary U-Haul vendor. It would be 5 trucks parked in the back. We offer the service for moving van rental. Because a lot of the tenants there would be moving, so those are the individuals that typically use self-storage, so they would rent the van from there, move their equipment, and then return it at another location.
And then final question, could you please put more texture around flex business lease suites? What exactly does that mean?
It would be more like for contractors, like we discussed, like landscapers, or maybe somebody that has a small business, for example, somebody that.
So is it like an office space?
Yeah, kind of like a big office, right? So somebody that, let's say somebody that makes granite, or
Okay.
got a granite business, marble business, and he needs a place to work out of, so it'd be pretty much his office.
Office, not storage his equipment, storage yard, landscaping materials outside.
Yeah, so our limitations are no storage outside. Any of the equipment that would be in there would be related to the business only, and it would not be anything, it would be only light duty required. So, for example, the use category falls under professional offices would be architects, engineers, accountants, consultants, real estate offices, insurance offices, things of that nature. Personal business services and trades would be more of, individuals in the electrical and plumbing, contractors, and like landscaping businesses that would want to be able to put their lawnmowers into one of the storage units or one of the tenant spaces. Creative studios, like art studios, music studios, photography studios, and also in the small scale assembly or the storage, like e-commerce. So for example, that's where the light product assembly would occur, or kitting, which is promotional kits. A lot of them you're seeing a boom in online sellers, which what they do is they essentially package and ship. So they need a little bit of a larger space to be able to do that.
Yeah, we've seen a self-storage plan, and this to me it has a lot more to it, and I would just like to see what it looks like. Because there's just so many nuances with other things attached to it that if it was just self-storage, straight up self-storage, it's easier to visualize, and but RV parking and lease space, and we need, I need more details.
There's a lot to it, Commissioner, and I know there's a motion on the floor, but what I would say.
There's not.
Oh, there's not a motion?
No,
Okay.
No, sir.
What I would say is that there are still some questions that need to be worked out with the attorney through the development agreement and the conditional rezoning agreement. For example, when does the property convey to the city? When does the property behind the post-school? And again, I'm saying these things with the understanding that you don't often get an opportunity to redevelop a school. I'm working at a few of these in some of my communities where these poor buildings because whether it's working with the school district or the archdiocese or whatever the case may be, they sit and they become a blighted use. And so I think that there's an opportunity here for this, but what I'm hearing from the commissioners is that there's still some questions in regards to the overall use, and the information provided tonight, I haven't reviewed it, but it clarifies some of the issues with what flex space is, was submitted to staff tonight. But that kind of sets the table also for if there's going to be more flex space or office uses, how does that impact the amount of parking that would be required for the site? So there's some things that need to be tie-barred together. But overall, to have an opportunity to redevelop the school, to go through that detailed process of site plan review to screen and buffer, whether through landscaping and lighting, these uses so they don't impact the residents, that's going to be your exercise to do that. There's nothing preventing the applicant, and I realize there's options on property and how that all works, but there's nothing preventing the applicant from concurrently submitting a site plan along with the conditional rezoning. I think that what I'm hearing, there is a comfort level with the actual concept, so you could possibly go through that concurrently if there's some interest.
We have in the past gotten rezonings along with the site plan same night and approved both at the same time.
Correct, you normally do. They're normally more detailed. One simple component of the site plan in phase one even, which is a little bit beyond a reoccupancy. It's not as detailed as obviously getting into phase three, but the gravel, just the use of gravel is, they have to approve that on a site plan. They can't do that per agreements. The variances that were required, they can't do that per that agreement. So there's sort of this twofold thing. That agreement needs to be more detailed, describe processes a little more. The big one, conveyance to the city on property, that's big. But then the more detail on the site plan, which they are very used to seeing go hand in hand. So it's partially there, and kind of as we told you at the meeting, we said, you sure you don't want to wait till January? This is going to be
And I mentioned trust me, if we could keep extending this, it'd be great, but, we're pressured on our end as well.
I will say I did have a call from the real estate agent, and he appeared to be very understanding of what this kind of process is. This does not happen overnight when you're dealing with these agreements. As we noted in one of our reviews, our legal counsel is retiring parties tomorrow. So we've got new people on board that need to look at this. And, you've got plenty to work with what's been given you here in that agreement. Typically with these agreements, all of us go through them. I mean, how many times do we go back and forth? 3, 4, 5 times, back and we sit right down with you, we mark them up and we go back and forth, and we haven't had the opportunity to do that with you on it.
Sure.
But we all kind of agreed, well, the stuff here it's definitely heading in a direction that we can do something with and talk to you about certain things and, go from there.
Ms. Jamison?
Yeah, couple of more questions. So you listed a lot of different type of businesses with that flex use. Those people have clients and or customers. Are they going to be visiting those sites? And as he mentioned, that changes the whole thing about parking, but then also it becomes almost like a business, a business center, or retail, because if you got people that are doing light production, so is it like 1 or 2 people in there, and now we got like a light assembly line thinking happening, so now you're talking about employees and in and out, so it sounded like a whole lot when you listed all of those uses, and so that makes a little concern, because like my commissioner partner said there, that it's not just a self-storage unit anymore. Now it's small businesses that you're actually housing as well. So that's really different, and that's more traffic than just your 2 or 3 people a day, as your counterpart mentioned there, for the units that he has that has 300 or 400 units, 2 or 3 cars a day. No, you throw business people in there, then that adds, and then if you throw customers and you throw assembly, yeah, it's more than your 2 or 3 cars a day. So that really does need to be addressed. And that information that you gave them, hopefully those details are in there so we get to see that, because I wouldn't vote on anything like that I couldn't see either. So, and there is a concern now because, yep, it's a dirt road and it's more than 2 or 3 cars now. So, yeah, we do have a greater impact. And then the parking issue. So that adds a whole lot more to it for us to make a decision like that. And we live here too. So we don't live there, but they are our neighbors. So we have a concern for our neighbors as well.
Absolutely, and I respect that, and I totally understand. We do have some detail in regards to the traffic study that we did, a preliminary study, and we took into account the amount for the higher end of the tenants that we would have there. We also placed restrictions on the customers that would come in. It would be appointment-based, it would be appointment by appointment, so a large amount of people to come in. There are a lot of restrictions, and which I just gave, and I totally respect that they need to be reviewed, so I understand. My question is I know that from my understanding, the site plan review is a different procedure to this, which this is a little bit different than, this is more of a land use request, where what we're understanding is you're required or recommending or requesting a site plan along with the land use request?
Right, it's a conditional rezoning.
Yeah.
And as Mr. Enos talked about, what that's all about, this so happens to be something that there's going to be improvements done on the site. So that site plan goes along with this. They go hand in hand. And it's actually referenced in your agreement. We just don't have the detail on it. So, and again, like I said, even phase 1, that use of gravel, that's not anything we can do administratively. That's got to come back to them. Something about sewer came up that, we'll have Jessica look at. Just, we get started, see what these questions are about, what needs to be looked at. There'll be that whole component of the inside of the building that Jeff will, want to get into a little bit more and get more detail there. Conceptually, and sometimes conditional rezonings do have concept plans, but just to like I said, the use of gravel alone, and it's not the full-blown, site plan necessarily for phase 1 with that amount of expansion you're doing, but you are doing some expansion, so.
Yeah, so my next question is for the site plan, are we looking for it for all of the 3 phases, or is it just essentially?
The agreement will need to address it. And
Gotcha.
typically what agreements do is they'll address what happens in phase 1, what happens in phase 2, what happens in
Okay.
phase 3. So phase 1 is going to be all about the stuff that you've told us, renovating the inside of the building, adding some areas, the whole repavement of the parking lot. I don't know if that's been talked about tonight. And does Wayne County come into play with stormwater? All that you'll need to look into and get that addressed, so. I don't know, Jessica,
back
do you
to
have
your
any more
question.
comments on that? Jessica might. In terms of some additional information for the site plan that
Through
they
the
may be
chair.
looking at?
Yes.
There are a couple items that have been talked about tonight that I'd just like to clarify what we would be looking at in regards to engineering. The sanitary sewer, there is a sanitary sewer lead that does come from the Oak Brook subdivision. It is not intended to be a sewer that can be extended to serve any properties along Merriman Road. So there would be no intent to create that as a public sewer and do any further extensions, but the sewer that exists now, we would recommend that it be TB'd to ensure that it still is, it still is structurally sound and that there is the ability to use it. The sanitary sewer that is there will need to be relocated during their phase 2 in order to not be impacted by the buildings that they're proposing. Per Carol's mention of phase 1, the repaving of the parking lots and the use of the gravel, that will trigger a Wayne County permit process to do stormwater management on the site, and they will have to accommodate any of the impervious area that they are creating. And then I would like to just note that though the traffic generation study that they did does show that they will have less cars than the proposed, or the school did in its heyday 15 years ago or so, that does not negate our recommendation of paving from Merriman Road to the end of their property in order to provide a paved surface for this use. I would say that the school probably needed a paved surface as well, and the city taking on the maintenance of having this added traffic on to Merriman Road is not something that I don't believe that the DPW is looking to maintain a gravel road for this purpose. So I would contend that the recommendation stands that they should pay, that the road should be paved from Merriman to their south property line.
As I said, there's some things that have to be worked out.
Yeah, no doubt.
Through the chair.
Yes, Ms. Roscoe.
I just have one comment. We are better off to postpone this tonight than to push it through to city council, because in my opinion, when it gets to city council, it would get denied.
That's right.
And you're better off to have it postponed here than denied there. That's just my opinion.
And Ms. Roscoe is our liaison to the council. She is a council member.
And I just don't believe in the format that we have here tonight that it would pass city council.
Understood, thank you.
Do we have a motion?
I can make the motion.
Mr. Laffelty?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion to postpone RZ-2025-003, Merriman Schools, Romulus Self-Storage.
Support.
Is there support? Motion by Mr. Glotfelty, supported by Mr. Long, to postpone RZ 2025-003 Merriman School, Romulus Self-Storage, 15303 Merriman Road. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, roll call. Mr. Glotfelty?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Jemison?
Yes.
Mr. Boboade?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carried. This is postponed until the subject.
Thank you for your time, Commissioners. Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
Next item is the next public hearing, RZ 2025-004, Bradford Airport Logistics, Wayne Road and Eureka Road. Petitioner here. Could give us your
Good
name and
evening.
address.
My name is Marcus Tommy. I'm the Director of Economic Development for the Airport Authority, Wayne County Airport Authority. Address is 11050 Rogel Drive, Detroit, Michigan, 48242. The request that you have for you tonight is for a project that is years in the making. The Airport Authority conducted a public solicitation in which Bradford Airport Logistics was awarded the opportunity to design, build, finance, operate, and maintain a centralized receiving and distribution center facility. Our development partners for the project include Bradford, Gilbane, CNS Engineering, and LS3P. And I'll now ask Mike Rossen from Bradford to come up and provide you with the details of our request.
And thank you, Commissioners. Happy to be here, and we appreciate the opportunity. Like I said, I'm Mike Rossen, Director of Business Development for Bradford Airport Logistics, 7324 Southwest Freeway in Houston, Texas, 77054. I don't live here, but that's where our corporate headquarters are in Houston, but we do have operations here currently in Detroit. The purpose of our presentation tonight is to give you a little bit of an overview, and many of you probably are asking, what is a centralized receiving and distribution center? And we want to give you a little context, a little background, and excuse me, a little frog in my throat, and go over what we're proposing for the site, and building and things like that, and some of the key benefits for Wayne County Airport Authority, as well as the city of Romulus. So if I may, begin the presentation. So just a little bit about Bradford, and it's us, and we always like to put this in here together. We are Bradford Airport Logistics. We continue to be the primary catalyst for CRDC growth and innovation within the U.S. and the global aviation industry. Our purpose really is to help airports run great. So the centralized receiving and distribution center, think of it as the main logistics hub for the airport. All goods coming in or destined for sensitive areas of the airport, the main terminal complexes, and the campus as a whole, would go through the centralized receiving and distribution center, the CRDC. At that point, it's staged, screened, and then redistributed once those goods are processed. We do this in these facilities, it creates operational efficiency, right? The site reduces costs, streamlines deliveries, and adds capacity. Security, enhanced screening compliance. The facility will be future-ready with enhanced regulatory standards and ready for anything else that is laid out by DHS and the TSA. Sustainability, supports recycling initiatives of the airport. Safety, minimizes roadway traffic on the terminal fronts and surrounding areas. And then the community impact is, we don't want to understate this, but we intend on utilizing 20% MWDVE participation with local businesses. With that, I would like to introduce one of my colleagues, Mr. Rick Freebalt, who's our Vice President of Quality Assurance and Compliance.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Rick Freebalt. My address is 2588 World Gateway Place, Suite T1, 160, Detroit. And again, I've been with Bradford for 15 years. I have been working as a concessionaire at the airport since the doors opened until I transferred over to Bradford. So I've been at the airport for 25 years and have seen it change in many significant ways to benefit the operations of the airport and to benefit those employees, those folks who do work at the airport. Currently, the airport maintains 2 centralized receiving distribution centers. One is located in the McNamara terminal, one is located in the Evans terminal. The object of this is to consolidate those operations for one operation. Again, many of the concessionaires that operate in the McNamara terminal also have operations in the Evans terminal. So we have a very big duplication of services. Vendors that supply these concessionaires are required to visit both sites in order to deposit goods. Going to one centralized spot located off campus mitigates the risk issues of having unknown vehicles approach the airport, and then allows vendors to make one stop to offload all of their goods to our facilities to be processed. Ergo, that's why we want to go through it and move forward with this in consolidating our operations. Thank you.
Good evening, Michael Holdwick, 3977 Lock Bend, Commerce Township, Michigan. I'm with CNS Engineers. We're the civil engineer of record. I'm also here to represent LS3P, who are our architectural partners, and just give you a little overview of some of the development details on the project. So starting from the big picture, just introducing the site. So the site that's in question that we look to rezone is in the southwest corner of Wayne Road and Eureka Road, immediately south of the airfield at DTW, adjacent to Checkpoint 34, for those of you who are familiar with the airfield. We're proposing to develop 7.5 acres of that 40.5 acre parcel. So this is the northeastmost corner of Eureka and Wayne Roads. It's the upland portion of that particular site. In general, we're looking to establish approximately 30,000 square foot warehouse, which will be a centralized receiving center for goods that come into the airport, with 10 inbound docks and 7 or 8 outbound docks. And currently, the parcel is Zone C3, and we're proposing to rezone it to M2, which is general industrial. The parcel is part of the Southern Gateway. It's also worth noting. So just to lay out some of the vision and the community benefits, I know this is wordy, but we just wanted to start with the M2 zoning. M2 zoning is really where the city wants to take this particular corridor to support the transportation and industrial-type facilities that support in and around DTW. The current zoning is C3, which is your retail and highway support developments. So we believe long-term, it's in the best interest of the city to rezone this parcel to be more congruent with the Southern Gateway Plan. Next slide.
So there are four main or key benefits that I want to mention for the city of Romulus. First is the economic growth and stability. The proposed use is compatible with surrounding land use and will expand the local tax base in the Southern Gateway. Next, enhanced property appeal. The project can and will attract additional investment, making use of the improved infrastructure at the parcel. Further, the sustainability and smart growth, our request reflects thoughtful, planned growth principles that complies with all environmental regulations. And lastly, the community engagement. The project supports long-term community goals by bringing a state-of-the-art airport logistics center to the city.
So a little bit about the site plan details. This is a preliminary site plan that we've developed, and I just want to introduce some of the key concepts so you guys can fully understand what we're proposing to do here. So Plan North has now been rotated, so this is north on this side, and the airfield is across Eureka Road. This is Wayne Road. So what we're proposing is to install a 30,000 square foot logistics facility with two entrances off of Wayne Road. The southernmost entrance is where the truck docks would be located. So the inbound trucks or non-secure goods come in this location. They're screened, stored, and sorted, and then they come out of the outbound or the gated truck docks. And from here, they're delivered up Wayne Road, across Eureka Road into the terminals. The employee parking would be on the north side of the facility with a second entrance coming off of Wayne Road. And all the development will be in accordance with the site plan review process. So you'll see that we've proposed sidewalk. We have the offsets that are compliant with the M2 zoning for both the front, side yard, and then also green belt. There's a 24-foot wide fire circulation road per the zoning ordinances, and then some site features, retaining walls and things like that. It's worth noting that there are wetlands on the site to the south and some to the west that we are not impacting, so the developable site that we're proposing as part of this does not impact any existing wetlands. This is a rendering of the logistics facility. This is taken looking northbound on Wayne Road. So this is Wayne Road, and then Eureka Road is up here to the north. You'll see these are the inbound truck docks, and then the outbound truck docks would be located behind that. This is just a representation of the materials that we plan on using. So we intend to fully comply with the material requirements that are laid out in the zoning ordinance. The building proportioning and the roof line will be congruent with the surrounding facility, so it doesn't have as high of a roof line as you would see on some logistics facilities. And then we're also proposing screening through landscaping, trees, and ornamental walls to block the site from the public roadways. This is just a snapshot of the floor plan if you want to address that.
Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Gage Prine, 7324 Southwest Freeway, Houston, Texas. I'm the project manager with Bradford, so I just wanted to give you an idea of what the internal flow of this building will look like. So as Mike mentioned, in that green area, we do have 10 inbound dock doors where a vendor will drop their goods off. They'll be unloaded into that green L-shaped section of the building. And just to mention, you guys are going to be in a very state-of-the-art, high-tech facility on the inside of this. You'll notice the separating wall between the green and the red spaces has some X-ray machines. Those are state-of-the-art, brand-new machines. They'll be used to screen the goods for security, making sure nothing prohibited makes it to the terminal. Once the goods are screened, they'll be put in storage in the cooler and freezer on the plan north there, or in dry storage in the rest of the red area, where they've been staged and then will be loaded on our trucks in the light red area and delivered out to the airport with route like mentioned. We also have that small yellow area, which is going to be the office area for use by our management team for conference rooms and things like that and training. And also, Mike mentioned, we are going to be designing this to comply with all the Romulus ordinances in terms of design. So like you mentioned, building materials, screening, things like that. Total square footage of the interior is going to be about 30,000 square foot use. And we are designing with the capability for integrated operations of other, consolidated needs. So off-site supply chain touches could be consolidated in this building as well. And we're designing really with sustainability in mind, making sure we have great areas for recycling to maximize the potential recycling program for the airport. This is also just kind of a side rendering showing more 2D image of what Mike showed on the rendering earlier. And with that, I'll turn it back to Mike.
Again, a high-level, a high-level overview, so we'd like to open it up to the commissioners if there's any questions that we could answer.
Being that this is a public hearing, I'll open that portion and then open it up to anybody in the audience that wishes to get up and speak on this from the citizens. Seeing no one, just bear in mind, we do have an affidavit of first-class mail for this public hearing also, and I'll close that portion out and open it up to commissioners. My question is, your building is what, 30,000 square feet, and the site is going to be, that you're going to be utilizing is relatively a small portion of this 40 acres. Why are you rezoning the entire parcel?
Correct. So the building is 30,000 square feet. Our area we will develop is approximately 7 acres. The decision was to enable for Wayne County the development of other local or regional businesses.
Yeah, so it's a great question to be able to say, why are we asking for the entire parcel? And that's because we believe that this project is going to spur additional businesses, additional airport-specific logistical services that we can utilize on that site. So this isn't just a one-time choice. It's that we want to be able to drive additional businesses to that location, and having it rezoned as M2 is going to afford us those opportunities.
So you don't foresee any other different use than that's use, that C2 use?
That's correct.
Any other commissioners have any comments?
Through the chair,
Jameson.
I'm kind of familiar with Bradford logistics out there at the airport. Now, all the vendors, do they use Bradford or are separate vendors using different forms of bringing their goods in? Or do they have to go through Bradford?
They've got to go through Bradford Airport Logistics. Any materials going into the sensitive areas of the airport, main terminal complexes, things like that, they have to go through Bradford. They deliver to us first. We stage them, screen them, and then we deliver them.
Now, the current facility that's over there now that Bradford is using, is that too small of an area, or what's the purpose of building a whole new building?
Well, it's twofold, really. Yes, we have outgrown the space in there. We have both, like my colleague Rick mentioned, we have operations of both the Evans and McNamara terminals.
Yeah.
Right? By consolidating them, we've outgrown both of those. By consolidating them into one site, it's going to, one, allow us more room to perform the necessary functions, and two, it takes traffic away from the main terminal complex as a sensitive areas of the airport, right? Whether it's whoever delivers to us, whether it's U.S. Foods, Coke, the beer van, right? Right now, it's in and around sensitive areas of the airport. What this does is it moves it off-site, proximate, across the street, and then it will allow us a space to grow and expand and consolidate the operation, which will provide some efficiencies and economies in themselves with our operation.
Now, and with your operation, I know this is operational, it don't have any, but one question in regards to the security aspect of it. Now, when you send those trucks over to the terminal area, will they be sealed once they leave Bradford, or how does that work?
Correct. And Rick, if I can have you address that.
We do establish what we call a virtual secure delivery tunnel. All of our trucks are outfitted with geo-trackers and also with six-sided, all four sides of the truck are under a DVR, as well as in-cab and in cargo box. We have routes that are programmed into our systems so that if the truck deviates from the CRDC to its destination point, we are alerted that there is an issue. The trucks are sealed, and the documentation for that can be transmitted to the airport AOA checkpoint for vehicle entrance, where they can perform the verification on site that the cargo box has not been tampered with in transit.
Thank you.
Ms. Jensen.
Yeah, question. So I believe one of you gentlemen mentioned about screening. So that photo that's up there, going down Wayne Road, you see those trucks there. So are you planning to have taller plantings to cover the truck? Because I'm assuming if you're anticipating more businesses maybe there, one of the things that we do try to do is that side review of truck docks is kind of like a little issue for us. So are you planning to put plantings there that will be tall so that would shield all of that?
Yes, that's correct. Our partners with CNS Engineering have stated that there will be additional screening, whether that's decorative fencing or walls or landscaping that will be able to screen the truck docks, so you won't be able to see that from the road.
Thank you.
A couple of comments. I guess I want to go over to Mr. Enos and the OHM to see if they have any additional comments, because it appears that you're lacking information similar to the situation we had in the previous petitioner.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. I appreciate the applicant's very detailed presentation, and like our previous project, I'm supportive of the rezoning from a master planning, and more specifically, the detail, the conditional use for the property. And you had a good question, Mr. Chairman. That was one of my questions, is that we're leaving 30-plus acres available for zoned M2, and the applicant is indicated that, and hopefully they were able to kind of move other business in there, but they would have to come back before this body each and every single time to amend this request. So once this is built, if they were to put another one, they would have to come back and go through this same process. So even though the map may show with an asterisk on it, zoned M2, any future uses would have to come back before and go through this conditional rezoning process. Because as I said with the other use, there are uses that really wouldn't fit at this gateway area, auto repair, things like that, just don't fit the idea of this area of the city, but this use does. And so that was one of my bigger concerns, that they would have to go through that process, and that should be outlined in the conditional agreement that I do think, and Carol pointed out, that does need some work. There are some issues in there, there's some errors in there that need to be cleaned up a little bit. And the site plan itself is a good start. You certainly could, I think, conditionally approve the rezoning when you're ready with the concept plan attached. And then in the future, they would come back with a much more detailed site plan. This maybe is a little less intricate as the redevelopment of the school. This is going to be a logistical building. It's going to be screened. It's going to have those kinds of things, whereas the other one had a lot of other issues. So when you're ready to allow this conditional rezoning, you could tie in the concept plan itself with the understanding that when they're ready to come back before us, they have to bring that site plan in much more detail. Those are my main issues, and our engineer had any.
But you're stating, though, any other development on that parcel that's already rezoned will have to have its own conditional rezoning
Correct.
request to tie it over.
It would have to come
Exactly.
back with every single change.
Will it be modifying the existing or adding another one?
You're modifying, it's, those
be amended.
first stated, second stated, all those amendments, and depending on, there's a lot of room for a lot more development. It's very, very doable, it's just that this language in here needs to describe that process. So that, and they have to make a decision whether they want to go through that with every development on the site, because it's a planning commission public hearing and then off to city council, so there is some timing there. So it's something I think, and again, part of this too is getting tied up with new legal counsel coming on board. And I think, there's been some good comments already that can probably be addressed in the agreement, but we'd really like to sit down with you and do some back and forth. Again, once new council gets involved, they may have a whole different take on, they may have a whole new way to possibly solve this problem.
And it'll be a record-keeping issue as well, like I indicated. I mean, we're rezoning a piece of property that allows, it's going to say on the zoning map, and the city would typically, what a community do would put an asterisk there, so we know this is a unusual piece of property, because once we're all gone or retired, or whatever the case may be, that zoning map's going to show M2, and we want to know what that means. And so the records with the clerk and the planning department would have to follow that, and that's why the agreement is so important to talk about that.
You may compare this to back when you did, it's the Kajoyan development, Romulus Corporate Park, when P&G Vistar came in. You remember that piece of property had one development, but you did a conditional rezoning for the other two, and then, but the way that agreement was set up was so much more detail in it with regard to process, that when Building 3 came in and when Opus came in, you just dealt with them as a site plan, and we'd go back to that agreement to, so we're very familiar with doing it. It just hasn't been presented in this one, so. Because it's now involving, I think when you came in, it first was just the 7.5 acres, wasn't it? And then because it was part of a bigger parcel, we said, well, if you're talking about expanding or anything else, let's look at the whole thing. But the agreement, this type of agreement didn't really match that, so.
Okay.
Depending on how the commission wants to handle this, we can bring this, if you do postpone it, we'll bring back a cleaned up agreement, or if you want to have it handled administratively, those are your options.
Ideally, in my mind, just me, I'd love to have the cleaned up agreement. Ideally, it'd be great if we had a full site plan, but if all we have is this concept.
Having the process cleaned up, I think, is really going to help. You think back at some of those other agreements, and there are some site plan elements that are in there. The good news on this, we do have the Southern Gateway both in the master plan and in the zoning ordinance with some standards. So it's, rather than getting into a lot of those design elements that you may need to, it's already in the zoning ordinance. But the uses are important, and as John says, there's a lot of uses in that M2 district you may not want in this area. So this area was this was the frontage, when it the C3 zoning, the hope was that it was going to get some service-related uses to support some of the industrial that was coming, and maybe that will happen. You want to have that flexibility, and having an agreement, because we've seen it in the other side of the airport over in Vining Road. We have a lot of that. A lot of opportunity depending on what comes in, so.
And I'm sorry, I got caught up in the land use and what our engineer was, were you going to speak?
Through the chair,
Yes.
I can speak to the fact that there is public infrastructure adjacent to the site that can serve the site for the proposed use that they are looking for at this time. So there's water, sanitary, and then the road frontages that they have are adequate for what they're currently proposing, which is in my report, but just a opportunity to verbalize it.
Perfect. Are there any other comments?
To the chair, other than just making a statement as far as the airport go, me being a long-time Romulus resident, I understand development down around the airport is good and everything for the populace, but you know, the airport itself as a entity that's operating on its own with the Wayne County Airport Authority, I don't feel it's fair to the city of Romulus. And that's just a statement I want to make as far as income and revenue. So, other than that, that's just my personal viewpoint. I just have a problem with it, but that don't affect my decisions on the logistics around its operation, so, thank you.
Through the chair.
Yes.
I can't remember where I read this, but you're anticipating receiving 39 trucks a day? Is that about right?
Approximately, yes.
Okay, is that just for inbound or inbound and outbound?
That's for inbound. Outbound is significantly lower. And outbound just goes across the street onto the airfield.
Okay, but you have, or you're proposing 10 docks for 39 trucks. How do you anticipate they would come in?
Everything we do, we schedule dock times of each and every vendor that serves the airport. They have their allocated dock time. Each of those drivers and vehicles is vetted, right? So we know who's showing up with what truck when. We assign them the dock times, right? It's very intentional for our operation and to help mitigate a lot of traffic at any given time.
Okay. Yeah, because for me, 39 trucks is a lot. And, you know, as much as we're trying to cut down on trucks, I understand this is, you know, really away from residential areas, but I'm just concerned with the number of docks for the number of trucks, except they'll be staged somewhere. Yes.
One of the things really that you need to consider is the fact that the less impact from vendor trucks is in the early AM. Most of the warehouse, distribution warehouses will start their operations at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. So our objective is to bring those trucks in as quickly and as early as possible. That's why we're looking at that many docks, to be able to get the trucks in here and out of here before really rush hour ever starts. So the impact to the traveling public on public roadways is minimal at best.
So if I understand you correctly, 10 trucks roll in maybe about 2 a.m., boom, they're out within an hour, hour and a half?
More likely, our processing time for a 53-foot trailer is about 30 minutes.
Okay.
So when that comes in, you know, they're scheduled in, we go through our protocols, that is all met. They are then permitted to offload those goods, and then we can go ahead and send that truck on its way. And then that just clears the way for us to keep coming in and to keep cycling people through. We're looking at that much interior space because once we go through our security protocols, we then store it and get it ready to be brought inwards to the airport. Because airport staff will generally not start that early. They will generally start rolling in around 5, 6 a.m. And then we can go ahead and start feeding the airport with that material. So it's structured in, structured back out. And again, it's meant to be the least disruptive to the public roadways and then also to any interference that we may encounter in terminal. Because that's still not that time of the morning, say from 5 a.m. to 9 a.m. For us to get in, that is still a good time for our vehicles to be on the airfield to make those deliveries with the least impact then to airport operations.
Okay. Yeah, I also just want to make sure, because as much as you're scheduling your operation, the truckers are very random. So we want to make sure that the truckers are not staging themselves on Romulus roads somewhere.
They are not permitted to.
Okay.
And we go through a very, very detailed orientation with their distribution departments. We carry the weight of TSA behind us. So we sit down and go, this is how the security works for the airport. And if, in fact, they do not comply, they risk being denied as a vendor.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure that that was stated so that the trucks don't find parking anywhere on our ancillary roads and feel like, oh, my time is 3 a.m., so I'll just park here for 30 minutes. Like, no, you schedule your stuff from a truck stop, somewhere. Okay, very good. The other thing is you said you had outgrown your 2 facilities, the one in McNamara and Evans. Do you think this is, let me rephrase the question. What percentage of this building do you think you will be using? Do you think you'll be right at 80% capacity, 90% capacity? Because it seems to me that as the airport is growing, and with this operation being so integral to the airport, this might not be enough. And I have a sense, I may be wrong, that this would probably expand from 7 and take more acreage.
So and thank you. And to your point, we have looked at this and it's structured in a way, right now it's 30,000 square feet, and I will tell you, day one, operate will use every last square foot of it, right? We do have the ability to scale it. We can add additional square footage, obviously going through the appropriate approval processes once Wayne County Airport Authority says, can you please look at this? But to Mr. Freebell's point a moment ago, everything we do is so structured. And you talk about the trucks on the roadways right now. I mean, they're delivering to the McNamara and Evans terminal currently, right? So we're taking all that traffic out, and we'll have more control over it. But to your point about the facility size, yes, if we need to add on to it, going through the appropriate permitting and approval processes, and I'm sure we would have to come back here, we can certainly do that.
I would like to just add on to that as the airport continues to grow, we obviously want to make sure we're not handcuffing ourselves, so we do have that ability. Bradford has these CRDCs at airports across the world. And so this model that they have of the next generation CRDC is something that other airports are doing. And Bradford is the global leader in this space. There are other companies that try to do it. We're very thankful we have Bradford, and they've been here since the McNamara opened. So they know this business better than anybody, and they know how big that facility needs to be now, and also how to build it so that when we do need the additional capacity, we can add that, again, through the correct approval process.
You will need additional capacity. That's what I'm thinking. And I feel it's like baked into the plan, and you're not letting us know, but no, like what Mr. Long said, it's just a statement. And my gut feel, but that's all I
I
got.
guess we'll work with what they give us on a site plan.
Absolutely.
When this plan was developed, the plans that went into this, we obviously worked hand in hand with the airport. So we help use their master plan for what they're looking at for future employments from all existing airlines. And we built this facility at size to be able to handle what the airport currently is projecting for employments this year, next year, 5 years from now, 10 years from now. Will there come a time? I certainly hope so. That will come back to you and say, we need to expand again. But we did take that into consideration in the design of this facility for the growth for the room that we need now and the growth that we need for the foreseeable future.
Oh, one last question through the chair. So let's say people bring in materials and it needs to be burnt, disposed of, you find, are you going to dispose of it on site, or how do you handle that?
There won't be any disposal of any, how would you call it, prohibited, nefarious type items, anything that we would follow the appropriate state and local regulatory statutes to dispose of anything hazardous or things like that, right? Typically, we don't do that in our facilities. This is, as we mentioned a moment ago, it would be a recycling hub for the airport, cardboard and trash and waste and things like that. We can do that in different ways on the site. But anything hazardous or things like that, we would, and we do follow any and all local, state, and federal guidelines and regulations.
Okay, thank you.
Ms. Jamison?
Yeah, I just have one statement, maybe question. So from what I'm hearing is that the two locations that you currently have, by closing those and moving it to this off-site, you're actually going to be reducing that traffic that happens around the airport as well. So that's actually going to be a better case for travelers, I'm assuming.
Correct, much better. It's all happening right now, so we remove that traffic. It helps improve flow on the terminal fronts, and it keeps potential items that shouldn't be around sensitive areas of the airport out of the sensitive area.
Will those buildings be reutilized, those existing buildings?
So the existing CRDCs that are in the terminals will be repurposed. It basically is very valuable square footage inside the terminal that we will then be able to either lease out or provide to other concessionaires or for other purposes that are better served inside the terminal.
Thank you. Any other comments?
Yeah. And like I said, after being around Bradford, they are a very efficient operation. You do good work over there. You do good work, and as far as your recycling effort, and until you mention it, I've never seen a problem out there with all the commerce that you all do with your logistics of bringing things in and all of that. Never seen a problem with recycling, and that's good that it has never been mentioned or brought up because you are so efficient. So, thank you.
Oh, thank you, we appreciate it. Thank you.
Is there a motion?
So one more question through Carol. Do you see anything we need to do as a commission before we move forward with this here?
No, I think they gave a great presentation. You guys had some good questions, and I think once we get these holes filled in, we'll be moving along smoothly.
And all of those will be done through administrative wise?
We will do it, work on it administrative, but it will come back to you, well, depending on what your motion is.
If we postpone it, they'll
If you postpone it, it would
fill
come
in the
back to
holes.
you. If you guys want to see how it shakes out.
It's up to us to decide whether we want to be involved and see the final product of all the information put together into another packet that we vote on, or do we want to just take it, let them go do it administratively, and we don't see it again? That's what we have to
You
decide.
will see a detailed site plan.
Right.
Come back, and you probably, well, no, it's your call.
Through Chair, I have a question for Jessica. On your OHM report, number 2, you said we do not recommend a traffic impact study be required for the whole site at this time. As typically is provided for a conditional rezoning, it is a recommendation that as additional phases are proposed on the property in question, and then you go through some stuff. But part 3, you said the applicant should note that the city reserves the right to require a new traffic study. So are you recommending a traffic study or not?
So look at what the Southern Gateway says. He mentioned third. Are you following that standard? That's the zoning ordinance language.
So that, my comment did not take into account that, but I will address, sorry, I wanted to read that. I will address that right now, a conditional rezoning typically, when we've seen it, has done a traffic impact study for all the acreage that's being rezoned. At this point, everything else is speculative outside of that 7 acres, so we are saying that we do not feel that the rezoning at this point would require a traffic impact study on the rest of that acreage. That acreage should be studied once we know who the user is. A speculative traffic impact study leaves a lot for interpretation, and it would not give us a lot of additional benefit or information at this time. Our comment number 3 basically stated that if the user were to change from Bradford and the operations would change, we would want to see an additional traffic impact study at that time. Reading the ordinance for the Southern Gateway, and this property all falls in the Southern Gateway, then it does ask that a traffic impact study be completed. However, during the site plan review phase, I think that we can take a look at it and state that the study that they did complete, or the analysis that they did complete, we would do a further dive into it and see if any additional mitigations need to be done. At this time, I don't see any additional mitigations that need to be done on Wayne Road or on Eureka Road. Does that answer the question?
Yeah, it kind of suggests that you're not recommending a traffic impact study, but you're also leaving it open that it might be required.
If it grows.
If it grows.
Upon growth, yes, it's going to be required.
So based on the operation of the 7-acre, 39 trucks just for inbound, outbound, we really don't know yet. You don't think?
Well, they do have a generation, and
Okay.
in the packet, it's the TM Gilbane. Fishbeck did provide a technical memo that did an analysis on the traffic generated from the site, and we are in agreement with the conclusions that memo is. It's not a full-blown study, it's a traffic impact analysis.
You mean this page here?
That's part of it, but on my packet, it starts on page 130. And it's a Fishbeck technical memo.
Okay.
And they do talk about the proposed trips in and out during a day. So the vendor trucks they are proposing will be 78 trips during the whole day. So it's the 39 in and the 39 out. And then they are proposing that Bradford Logistics will have 40 trips a day. In and out. And that's on page
Yep, that's this
4.
one here, page 4.
Page 4,
Yep.
yes. So we did do a review of this trip analysis, and we do concur with their recommendations and their results.
So either way, they're still going to come back to us, Carol?
For a site plan.
Okay. So whether or not we do anything now, they still have to come back.
Yeah, so we'll be
Okay.
back.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes, Mr. Glatfelty.
I'm prepared to make a motion that we postpone this. This
Okay.
rezoning for RZ-2025-004 for Bradford Logistics.
There's been a motion by Mr. Glatfelty to postpone RZ 2025-004 Bradford Logistics. Is there support?
Support.
Supported by Mr. Long. Roll call. Mr. Glatfelty.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Jemison. Did you vote? Are you still thinking?
I'm still thinking.
Okay.
Can you come back to me?
Mr. Boboade.
Yes.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
I vote yes. Now we'll come back.
It doesn't matter, but I'll vote no.
Okay. Motion carried. This has been postponed.
Thank you, we appreciate it.
Next public hearing, we have item C is our master plan update. And this is for our future land use map, and that's part of our packet. And this is, I'm going to turn this over, I think. Mr. Enos to discuss that.
Yes, thank you, Mr.
Before we
Chairman,
take a vote on it.
Commissioners, and this is not something new to you. We've had several meetings. Carol wrote a nice detailed memo on the process. We've talked about these different maps, these bubble maps. It's one of the first times we've done this in a master plan, so we kind of like the way that it worked out for the city in this case, because it kind of tells the story of what is being requested or to be changed. And much of this is just making things work in regards to what the use is out there. The public uses are being more clarified. The school uses are being kind of evolved into the surrounding land uses, the single family where those are typical, where those changes. And then we've got some larger opportunity areas that would be part of this future land use plan. So you're being requested tonight to take a look at the future land use map to bump this up to city council. The one thing I kind of wanted to bring up is that we're looking at some areas, and I thought this would be an appropriate time to talk about this because I know it's in the news these days, and I unfortunately have to work in 3 communities that have these data centers. So you may have been reading and following the data center world right now, where it is pretty contentious and controversial. And in fact, Augusta Township to your west, Saline Township to your west, have these proposed as well, and Ypsilanti Township, as you've seen. And the reason I say that is because we do have public water. I don't know if we have the right areas in regards to electrical conduits and substations, but I took a look at our ordinance, and it does allow computer and data facilities in 4 of our zoning districts. And those are our office districts, our M1 or M2, and also our research district. So that they are permitted uses, not even special land uses. And, you know, when you have a permitted use, that's a hard one to turn down if it's not, if it doesn't, if it meets the ordinance requirements. So I guess what I'm saying is this is twofold. I'm recommending that the future land use map be bumped up to city council, and we can move forward with those changes. These are all important. But also, you may, as a commission, now this would be a council decision, and your neighbors to the south just did this last Wednesday in Huron Township, put a 6-month moratorium on data centers so that they could research the use, develop draft language for the use to make it more appropriate. And I don't know how I know the technology's changing. If you read about the one in Saline Township, that one is that's a different animal. It's going to have water that it's not going to need the amount of water that some of these others are using. It's going to recharge the water. I'm not sure the specifics of it, but again, it's this guy who's coming down the road, and we have some very simplified language in our ordinance, and I think it may make sense. Again, this would be a council decision and perhaps planning commission through our new attorney to put a moratorium on these uses. So that's kind of an aside, but I think it's important because we do have properties in the city that could possibly be proposed for those, and you may, and I'm not saying, I'm not for or against them at this point. I just know that they're a major issue. They're a major use of potentially water, electricity, but they are also a significant generator of tax revenue, employees, construction, and at least what I'm finding, they're relatively low intensive if designed right. That's why they get these, 200, 300, 400 acre parcels, put them in the middle. So that's my comments, guys. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them. Otherwise, you can if you feel like you want to make a motion to move this forward.
My own comment is that I feel we need to identify what part of the city we'd want to see this kind of development before somebody decides to stake a claim under us and we don't have control of it. So, you know, I don't think we have the authority to do a moratorium. That has to come from legislative. But I do think we need to get ahead of this, maybe have this moratorium so that we can then develop a policy of where we're going to put this in within our master plan or with our zoning and figure that out, and give us the best chance of identifying that proper area.
Can we go back to some, or if are we in master plan discussion? Because we need to open we need to open the public hearing.
Okay. This time I'll open the public hearing to the public. If there's anybody who wishes to talk about master plan. Seeing no one. Bear in mind, we do have an affidavit of first-class mail for this. And I'll close that out and go back to discussion.
Through the chair, question I have on the moratorium. You said like 6 months. Do we really think 6 months would be enough to develop that process and a policy? I mean, I know from experience, it's usually taken us longer than 6 months to do that, and then we end up extending the moratorium. But that's just a comment for now, something to think about once we get to that point of wanting to bring that and approach that with council.
Timing too with new legal counsel coming on board.
Yep. I just think it would take long, in my opinion, in past
And it may,
moratoriums,
because
it would take longer than 6 months.
It may, and because I'll tell you, I guess my reasoning would be that we're more of an urbanized community than where you see a lot of these other ones being proposed. And we've drafted a model ordinance that's been vetted by some attorneys. So at least we've got a start for you.
Oh, good. Okay.
Ms. Jameson?
Yeah, actually, I think a moratorium is probably the best thing to do. We absolutely need more research. I do have a client of mine who's familiar with these. He works with the massive energy use from DTE, and he talked about the amount of electricity that these things use, but also the proximity of where they are. It can be a little dangerous. Their carbon footprint is huge, and they use a ton of resources. It is a problem globally, but it's a problem that we probably need to resolve because they're going to be showing up some of everywhere because of AI uses a ton of energy, and their carbon footprint is absolutely horrible. So it is a concern, and I agree with you 100% that we need to probably think about that and research and decide where we want it versus where somebody wants to stick it, and then we got to deal with it. So my other question is, you mentioned that there are 4 areas that could possibly house this, and you mentioned that it could be a tax resource. Are those TIFA districts or not? Because we have to make sure that people understand taxes are not all the same. When they're general fund taxes and TIFA fund taxes, we need to make sure people understand that's clear. Don't just say we get taxes. We need to make sure where the taxes are going. Because TIFA taxes are not general taxes. We need general taxes, a lot of it, so.
Yes, and Carol and I are looking at, when I said the 4, those are 4, I don't know the specific locations, but there are at least 4 zoning districts that allow for it. And that's
Your industrial, your commercial, and the office districts.
because I think when we formulated this language, I guess a lot of people didn't, because a lot of my ordinances don't have it, is, it just says, computer center. They didn't understand the monster in the room, right?
Yeah, they didn't anticipate data centers when they thought about computer centers. It is totally 2 different beasts. Yeah, so.
So you could have if the commission prefers, you could move the map to the future land use maps to the council and also make a motion for them to look into a moratorium on, we have a council member here, moratorium on the allowance of data centers while we research that, and then the attorney could draft that resolution and handle it there.
But process-wise, so the way our process works here, you adopt the master plan and any amendments. The city council has also asserted their right to adopt it, so it's not a recommendation. You would be making a motion tonight to adopt the future land use map amendments. Yep, that's a motion, and then you'd probably want to make a second motion to, you just said.
For the
But yeah, it's not a, and I had it wrong in my, kind of by habit, recommend city council. Wait a second, I think it's.
We will request that the city council investigate a moratorium.
Investigate a moratorium. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Question through the chair. Is it possible for us to move this data center or computer, however it's worded, away from the M1, M2 into special land use? Kind of like just
That's what would happen.
pull that out?
That what would
So
happen.
that no one feels like, oh, they see an M1, they jump on it and they want to throw a couple of servers there and say, no. I mean, apart from the fact, that it can be used for data centers, or there's cryptocurrencies too. They use huge electricity for these operations. So, it's just a suggestion to say if there's that possibility to pull it out of there into special land use so that when it comes before us, if it does, we can go through it with a fine-tooth comb and say,
It's
no.
it's much easier to regulate and/or deny a special land use, as you know, than a permitted land use. And right now, these are permitted, so I would strongly, that when we get to that point, depending on where we want to put it, it also becomes a special land use.
However, in the M1 district, if the building was greater than 80,000 square feet, it'd be a special land use. So, we need to, in terms of the master plan, you guys were all okay with everything? Is that
No.
what I'm hearing? If you are.
Wait, are we talking the future land use map, or?
So, right, so we had a public hearing, I think we closed it out without much discussion. But tonight, you're here tonight, the master plan went out for distribution for 42 days. We had a couple comments on it, several comments were just acknowledging it. Marcus Tommy, actually from the Airport Authority, who was here earlier, had some comments as it related to the noise section, but those comments are in there and not really impacting any of the changes that you had on there. But what you're looking at tonight is basically taking these bubbles in these changes and putting them on it would be an updated future land use map.
Now, that's separate from this draft text amendment.
Correct. Tonight,
Which,
right,
what
we're
I have
dealing-
concerns
Right,
with.
just the map.
Okay.
Tonight, we're going to deal just with the
Ms.
map.
Jamison?
Yes, so I just wanted to reiterate the one issue that I do have, and that's the one that's on here, number 3. We got so much other land that's in the city that could be used for things.
Which map for number 3?
The one that's currently up on display.
Okay. Okay.
Yep, map 3, the one that's currently up on display,
Okay.
the tower property. Because that backs up to Beverly, and I know the last time it was mentioned that it would be screening, there would be no exit. I kind of feel like the first homeowner who stepped up here and talked about a slippery slope. I kind of feel like eventually they're going to say, well, there's only one way in and one way out over that parcel. Would be great if we can just maybe make an exit out of Beverly. And then at some point, that exit from Beverly becomes, well, maybe we can actually do a little bit more. Beverly is not a road that can handle any more traffic because it's already a hot mess over there. And you got homeowners that are on the back and the north side of that to the north, the west, and the east. I already know that there are some homeowners that are not happy about the thought of anything backing up to Beverly because it is a hot mess over there. I live over there, so I'm really partial to that. And we got so many other pieces that we could do something with. I don't think we need to do something with that right now. I mean, in the future, 10, 15 years, if we max out all the other opportunities for businesses to come, then maybe, and that thing is still sitting there. I know they said it's hard to develop and do other things with, but I'm not a fan of that one. So I'll never say yes to that one, but I just think that that's probably not the best use because we got other things that can be done. And E-course is already a hot mess. Now, have we expanded that or done anything additional with that? No, so putting something on the other side of E-course across from Amazon, I don't think that's a smart thing either, not at this point. So I do have issues with that part of our map. But I said that the last time, so I'll reiterate it because I still have the issue.
So the one component that you're seeing here is just the, kind of the expansion of the regional or the regional business district going up that way with an overlay option. The overlay option exists today. It's in the zoning ordinance. What would happen is that expanding into other areas in the future, it's very likely that a map amendment here would prompt a text amendment to the zoning ordinance that could have restrictions, for example, no access onto Beverly Road, significant setbacks, buffering, I mean, all sorts of stuff that you guys had talked about when you went through round one of Vining Road. Now it's incorporating a different area, so you may have some other factors, later on that you want to look at, so.
And I don't disagree, Jameson, in regards to some of those concerns. I think as we worked through this process over the last 6 months, we took a look at a lot of different studies and a lot of different suggestions. The Michael Baker E-course Road study that the city did, and I kind of want to echo specifically what the city planner Carol had to say is that this parcel remains as is. It's not rezoned. We're not rezoning it. They would have to go through that specific process with the public hearing and all the neighbors notified, and to go through that process of attaching, whether it's special land use or permitted land use, and or text amendments to that district, that Vining Road overlay district as well. And so that's where we were suggesting that, hey, this could work here with the right use and the right design characteristics. But there are a lot of things that could go there. There could be a problem. That's why it's going to require a rezoning. So.
Yeah, it's just that language sometimes that makes me uncomfortable. It's not definite. It's could, possibly, would, maybe in the future we might. It's not an exact thing, which makes me feel like, for now, but later it could become a problem. So anyway, those are my comments about that.
At this point, you're looking for two separate motions. One would be the motion to adopt the future land use map, and that'll kick it up to city council for their adoption.
For theirs, yep.
The other is a request for city council to place a moratorium on all data center uses for a period, undetermined period. So those are our two choices.
I make a motion that we suggest to city council to put a moratorium on data centers.
Okay.
And is there a possibility of moving it to special land use?
Is that a support?
Oh, sorry.
No, I'm just,
We had a discussion.
we're just in the middle of,
Okay, sure, support.
okay, motion by Ms. Jamison, supported by Mr. Bogoade, to request city council place a moratorium. Now, a discussion, additional question on the motion.
Yeah,
So-
just to see.
Yeah, with your special land use, it's just, that's a process. So this is a bigger picture thing, and, it's probably best, in terms of what your kind of ordinances are,
Yeah, that would
to
be.
look at some bigger picture things with location and,
Yeah, if the council says, hey, we agree with you, we're going to put a moratorium, and they charge you, planning commission, to say, hey, take a look at this, or take a look at some ordinance language, that's when we sharpen our pencils and we get going on the special land use, where it'd be located, heights, setbacks, all these design criteria that we can tie in as a special land use. So that's, I don't want to make more work for you, but that's, if the council decides to do that, that'll be the next step for you.
Any other discussion, Ms. James?
Yeah, so with that though, not that part, for the research for the moratorium, how does that research part work? And will that be strictly for city council, or will planning commission have an opportunity to have some of that information?
So great question, and you've just gone through one. So last January, city council adopted established a moratorium on gas stations.
Yeah.
So it was gas stations specifically. It gets pushed over to planning commission. We spent weeks and weeks and months. While we were amending that section of the ordinance, we noticed several other vehicle uses, and that whole section needed to be cleaned up. You had how many back and forth seeing draft language? We play with it. The attorney very involved. You guys, yeah, ideas, and so yes. So council will dictate, and then we will be.
Then we make the
charged.
sausage. Then we make
Yep,
the sausage,
charged
right?
with doing it, right?
Okay, any other discussion on that? Roll call vote, Ms. Jamison?
Yes.
Mr. Boboade?
Yes.
Mr. Blattfelty?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. That motion's carried. Now, we have to decide what motion we're making for the adoption of the future land use map.
Through the chair.
Mr. Long?
When we proposed this to our neighbors on our master plan, did we have any feedback from Huron or any of the others?
The ones, it's included in your packet from Marcus Tommy from the Airport Authority. He's got a list, and he only, basically on a couple pieces of property, he issues, or he gives a statement about whether the property falls outside or inside the noise zones. So it's kind of a long memo, but that's really what it's saying. So, and there's really not an impact on necessarily those properties. There's already language in the narrative of the master plan that addresses noise zones. What we're hoping to do is, once they do get their contour map updated, and once we get into a bigger part of the zoning ordinance, getting that overlaid on the land use map, the future land use map, sort of see where those contour lines are. The other ones basically just acknowledge that they got it. So SEMCOG, we included theirs in. They have tools that they said they could help us with, but as far as the other ones, again, they just sort of acknowledged it.
A lot of no comments. Just acknowledging that they received it, but not a lot of commentary back.
I told the Huron Township planner to make sure they say they like it, so.
Okay. And any other conflicts that Mr. Tomey addressed, do we have a problem?
No, they're.
No, I actually spoke to him today too. The couple areas that are on here are just outside of that, but they are working with the city on those couple areas too, if there's a possibility to develop residential so that we could allow that. And they are helping with that.
No other questions from you?
Seeing no action on the motion,
Well, it seems like we
Through the chair, I would like to say, like, just to talk about with Edna on the one area you're talking about off Ecorse Road. I know that's been looked at, it's been zoned residential for a very long time. Obviously, it's never been developed. It's very difficult property. I know this with the Beverly access there, and there can be language and stuff drafted for that with the wetlands to the north side of that property and everything that's there would be no access to Beverly Road. And that this is also just the Ecorse Road corridor talked about, like the widening of the road. Also talked about a catalyst development that could help with that, help with some of those things. Kind of took that into account. And anything that would be proposed to ever go in there would have to get a conditional rezoning, would have to do a site plan, would have to come in and get approval.
Unless they were in that district. The
Unless it
regional-
was a
The regional business
regional-
uses, there's that little chart in your ordinance. If it's a permitted use, in the ones, the regional center uses are allowed, the commercial uses, and then on that side of Vining Road, there's some very light industrial uses, warehouse distribution is not a permitted use. So as Jeff says, if you did have a request for that, it would go through conditional rezoning at this time. So you'd have a lot of control over it.
Mr. Chairman,
Yes.
I'm ready to make a motion.
Yes, sir. Mr. Laffelty.
We move forward on this master plan update. We recommend to City Council. We approve what we've been presented in front of us.
Adoption, okay.
You don't make a recommendation to City Council, you get to adopt it. So the motion should be to adopt.
To adopt the,
Yeah, the future land use map.
revise that.
Yes, I'll advise. Thanks for changing my language.
Thank you.
Been a long day.
Is there support?
Support.
Motion by Mr. Gladfelty, supported by Mr. Boboade, to adopt the future land use map for the master plan. Any other discussion? Roll call. Mr. Gladfelty.
Yes.
Mr. Boboade.
Yes.
Mr. Long.
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe.
Yes.
Ms. Jamison.
Nay.
Mr. Green.
Yes.
Chair votes yes. Motion carries. Thank you. Next agenda item we have is, on the back of here, JK Industrial. They are northeast corner of JK Drive and Cogswell, SPR 2022. They're looking for a final site plan extension. You the petitioner?
Good evening. My name is Neil McLean.
Good evening.
Excuse me. My address is office address is 1021 Livernois Avenue, Ferndale, Michigan, 48220.
Okay. And you're requesting another extension?
Yes.
This will be your final extension. Do you anticipate having success?
Yeah. You know, between the interest rates, the building cost, and the tariffs have caused companies that want to move in to pause to try to see how their business looks. And so it's been, I own a number of buildings in Romulus, and I pay a lot of taxes in Romulus, and I think I try to take good care of my buildings. Carol knows me, and I think a few people. And so we're trying really hard to get a good company in here, but just with some of the things going on, companies seem to be very tentative right now on expanding, and a number of companies do because of with obstacles that they're faced with in the marketplace.
And you, just as long as you're clear that next time you'll start over again?
Yeah.
Okay, understood. Is there a motion?
I do have a question.
Yes.
What's the extended through what point? Is it a year from now?
It'll be extended to December 30th, 2026.
Okay.
So 12 months.
Mr. Chairman?
Laffelty.
Yes, I'd like to make a motion that we approve the final site plan extension for JK Industrial SPR 2022-012.
Support?
Support.
Support by Mr. Long. Any further discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Laffelty?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Jemison?
Today's the day.
It's just that kind of day for me.
Okay.
So I'm going to say no, because the last gentleman, we only gave him 6 months. So I just want to
That
be-
was due to the new ordinance.
Yeah, I know. I
Mr.
know.
Boboade?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. You've been granted.
Thank you very much, and thank everyone up there for all the good work you guys.
Good luck with you.
Good luck, thank you.
Thank you. Next item is SPR 2023-012, Project Wayne. They are also looking for a site plan extension. Address is 37685 Van Born Road for development of 29,375 multi-tenant office warehouse cross dock. Yes, sir?
Hi, good evening. I'm Chris Kajoyan with the Kajoyan Companies, 39400 Woodward Avenue in Hopewell Hills. We are asking for this final site plan extension. We are currently under contract, which I didn't put in my letter because I had to confirm that I was allowed to say that publicly. We're under contract right now, going through due diligence, so we do anticipate this project moving forward in 2026, which we're very excited about.
Good.
So are we.
Yeah.
Very
So that's
excited.
hopefully our, final extension, and we won't be coming back to you to start the process again and be coming in for permits.
And this will be extending you out till?
January of 27, based on the expiration.
Based on your expiration,
Correct.
correct, so January 27th. Is there a motion?
Mr. Chairman,
Mr. Blackfelty.
I'd like to approve the extension, final site extension for SPR 2023-012 for Project Wayne.
Support.
Support. Motion by Mr. Glopfelty, supported by Mr. Long for approval of extension for SPR 2023-012 Project Wayne. Any discussion? Ms. Jimison,
Yeah, is this his last extension?
last extension.
Okay, so is there a reason for the previous ones?
Yeah, so it's similar to all the developers in the area. It's the construction costs, interest rates. The market, since we originally came in, is completely different than when we started this process. But we've developed a number of buildings in Romulus that have all been very successful projects, are very tasteful, beautiful projects, well landscaped, well maintained. And that's our intention with this one as well. So it was delayed, it took a lot longer than we thought it would, but same as our other projects, we've stuck with it to get it to completion.
And you're pretty confident that this will actually make it through to
We've been going through, more than 6 months of due diligence. At this point, it's just getting through the process to get everything approved internally for this company, and then to be able to come into the city. So I am very confident. Again, if this did not go through and the deal fell through for some reason, they backed out, we would have to come back in for a new site plan approval and restart the process.
Thank you.
But I will say, it's a large company that it's a bureaucracy to go through those approvals for them. So that's where it takes them some time to get that. That's why we're asking for the 12-month extension from the date of our expiration.
Thank you.
Okay, any other discussion? Roll call vote. Mr. Glopfelty?
Yes.
Mr. Long?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Boboade?
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe?
Yes.
Ms. Jamison?
Yes.
And chair votes yes. Motion carried.
Good luck.
Thank you all. Have a great night.
Okay, what do we have? Next item is new business. We have none. PC cases involving advice or input from the Planning Commission.
Well, we do have one thing to see if you noticed, coming up under your next thing, under your reports on interest designation. Do you like this new format? We thought we would break it apart and have the city council liaison give her report, then the Board of Appeals liaison, which is soon to not be vacant, and then the other interest designations. What do you think of this on your agenda, number 10? Rather than just lumping it all together, it gives a little bit of order to it.
Yeah, okay.
Okay.
Well, it seems like that's the way we're doing already with
Celeste.
Yeah, that's the way we've been doing it.
You do it that way.
Miss
but it's-
Roscoe always goes first, and then,
I wouldn't want to get in front of that.
no, not at all.
Okay, the next is, okay, listen, Ms. Roscoe.
All righty. Well, I don't have a whole lot tonight, which everybody will be glad about. First of all, I want to say happy holidays to everybody. Merry Christmas. New Year's is coming up. And with that being said, the city offices here are going to be closed for extended periods of time. So for the week of Christmas, city offices will be closed the 24th, 25th, and that Friday, the 26th, will not reopen till Monday. And then again for New Year's, it's going to be closed on New Year's Eve, 31st, and New Year's Day, and then again on that Friday. So, you know, mark your calendars. If you've got city business to take care of, we're going to be closed.
Friday after the new year they'll be open.
Oh,
Unless, yeah, that's because it's the day after Christmas that we're closed, but the second, I believe they're open.
okay.
I know my building's open, the building department.
Okay, well, that's good to know. But the way it looks on the calendar, it looks like they're closed on that Friday too.
Oh.
So, but anyways, just mark your calendar. If you got business the day after New Year's, I guess maybe we'll be here. But other than that, those days are, other days are closed. Other than that, the only other thing I want to bring up is that they are planning the curling royale again this year in January. It's going to be on January 17th. Of course, that's a Saturday. They're looking for teams, and if you don't have a team of 4, you can always just come out and by yourself, and you know, you'll put you together with other people that want to play. You don't have to be experienced, is what they're saying. Just come out and have a good time. Registration begins at noon. It's $100 per team or $25 per person. And again, all these proceeds will go to help fund the Great Lakes Burn Camp for kids. Great cause. And they always have a lot of good fun out there. If you need more information, it's on the city's website, or you can call 734-942-7545. And of course, this event is weather permitting. Right now, everything's froze. We'll see what happens in a month from now. But if it doesn't pan out for the 17th, they do have it scheduled for the next Saturday, the 24th. But come out, support a good cause, and if you don't want to come out and play, come on out and watch. And again, they always have some vendors out there with refreshments and snacks and food and whatever for donations. And but always, like I said, it's a good time, so come on out. And other than that, that's all I have. Just be safe and have good holidays.
Thank you. Let's see, we got a Board of Appeals. Well, I wanted to say I want to welcome Mr. DeAndre Green, who's migrated up from the ZBA to join us up here on the Planning Commission. Welcome aboard. Welcome. Any other interest designations that we want to talk? Item 11, communication. We have a project status report in our packet. If anybody's got any questions on that?
In that
Okay.
regard, with our projects, the Wednesday, January 21st meeting, so both January and February, because of the holidays, you meet on the Wednesdays. We don't know if you've got anything for the 21st yet. We'll see
Yay.
what, we've got a ton of stuff that's come in, but not sure that, you know, things are gonna be ready. So you may or may not have a meeting on the 21st. Stay tuned.
January's a good one not to have.
Yeah. Plus, we always get confused with it being on a Wednesday,
Yeah, we
so.
All right, next item, we have adjournment.
So moved.
Motion by Ms. Jamison,
Support.
support of Mr. Long. Roll call, Ms. Jamison,
Yes.
Ms. Long,
Yes.
Mr. Bobade,
Yes.
Mr. Glotfelty,
Yes.
Mr. Green,
Yes.
Ms. Roscoe,
Yes.
Chair votes